Hey guys, you're back with Juzzy Evo X, and I haven't seen you guys with an Evo 10 video for quite some time. In fact, the last time I posted a video on my channel was somewhere around May of 2022. I'm now making this video in January of 2023, so at least 6 months have passed, and in that time I've been uploading videos for my daily commuter, which I purchased in the meantime. Here is my brand new 2022 Special Edition Honda Rebel. I bought it brand new from Team Moto in Brisbane, and I've been using this as my daily commuter. I basically bought it brand new, and then over a series of 35 videos, I upgraded and just modified the bike to my liking, and I've really enjoyed riding that to and from work. What that means is that I don't actually put kilometers on my Evo 10. It means I can get to work faster, I can lane filter, I can go on the edge of the freeway. It's fantastic. So my Evo 10 since May of 2022 has remained largely untouched. The car has about 163,000 kilometers on it, and I've just recently taken it into AK Racing to get an SST oil change and external filter change. Now, a lot of you have reached out to me in messages and comments saying, when are you going to upload something for your Evo? And the whole reason why I didn't is because there's been no modifications whatsoever. There's been no track attempts to try and break my own record, which currently sits at 11.58 at 120 miles per hour. Now, this is a stock Evo 10 engine. It is completely unopened. So completely stock valve train, stock head, stock block, stock inlet manifold, stock throttle body. All you see is bolt-ons. So as you can see right here, it's got a Plasma Man front mount intercooler. We've got top intercooler pipes. We've got a driven fab overflow tank. Just tanks, just basically nice stuff with some bolt-ons. The turbo is a GT Pumps 712. It runs 26 pound. It makes 312 kilowatts. It has a T51R mod, and so therefore anti-surge properties are great. So it just runs a standard 3-port boost solenoid. It runs on a stock ECU, and the key in what's make this car go quick is the reliability and tuning from the guys at AK Racing. So I just wanted to send a huge shout out to Alan, Casey and Blake in particular, who do all the work on my engine and my gearbox tunes, as well as setting up the fuel system. So, Casey helped to install the surge tank. The Raceworks surge tank was the key to me breaking out of my 11.63 quarter mile. And basically I just take this car to the track. I don't race it on the street. I don't race anyone on the street, and I don't do any sort of quarter mile runs on the street. What I would like to talk about now is what our plans are for the 2023 season, moving on from 11.58 at 120 miles per hour. So last 2 years, during the whole COVID pandemic, etc., I basically had the opportunity still to go to the track. Brisbane did have lockdowns, etc., but the tracks were still open, and so long as you socially distance, they were okay to proceed. And the unfortunate thing about going to the track is that when you do, you unfortunately have to wait anywhere up to 3 hours to get a good run. And if you saw in my last video, I was just completely mind blown at how long it took with continuous breakages. And in fact, the track had to tell people, if you have a breakdown or something goes wrong, pull over and don't do the whole quarter, like sort of limping it through, dropping all down the track. But despite that, their best attempts to try and stop people to do that, people continue to do it because they just simply either didn't know or don't care. So the problem with going racing is that, yes, you have to have the ability to wait in the stages, and if you don't have a heated sump, it becomes very, very difficult to manage. Now, in the period since I broke my own record from 11.63 to 11.58, I basically have seen some improvements in the whole field. Basically, I went to the track with the new TCU 9000 SST flash. That enabled me to do a launch control at 5,500 RPM. And typically prior to that, I was running at about 4,500 RPM. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good launch though, as I didn't build boost, and I'd simply just been waiting too long and was just over waiting. So I still managed to get a very good time though for what this setup is, but I want to do better, and I know it can do better right now without any further mods. So I think going on my 60 foot and my trap speed, right now the car definitely has 11.4 on it, but my goal for this year is to do way better than that, and I'd like to see somewhere around 11.1 to 11.2. Now, the plates for my car are level 10, and if I could get into the 10s on this unopened engine with gearbox tunes, engine tunes, and weight saving and so forth, then I will be plenty happy with that. I think realistically it's not going to hit a 10 in that guise, but I'm going to give it a crack. And so what that means then is that I'm going to have to do some further weight reductions. I'm going to have to increase the boost from 26 PSI. I've spoken to Alan at AK, and we know that I've got the headroom with my injector set up. So I'm running FIC 1200cc injectors, and our plan is to see how the turbo actually responds, if it likes it, if it's in its efficiency range. Just so that you know, the GT Pump 712 Turbo has a stock turbine housing. It has a stock turbine wheel. It utilizes a completely standard Tomei wide mouth 3-inch dump pipe. The whole exhaust system is a standard Tomei 3-inch, except it runs a test pipe from AK Racing, and I'm not running a test pipe from Tomei. So yeah, for right now for the street, I'm running a Varex. Means I can go from quiet to loud, but certainly at full open, it's not as loud as a Tomei. On the compressor side of a GT Pump 712, it runs a slightly larger compressor reel than a 20G, but it still retains a compressor housing, which actually needs a larger. You see here, I know it's hard to see, I'm just looking at my camera. So if you have a look at there, on that compressor housing, there is a coupler, which increases the size of the pipe coming out of the compressor housing. And then it goes to your typical 2.5-inch piping, I think it is, that everybody has on their car. So this compressor housing is not large by any means. And as you can see, it runs an intake pipe, which is the exact same dimension as the mass airflow sensor. So it's a very basic setup. The secret is in the tuning and in my weight loss. Now, in my previous videos, I've talked at length about how the best people at the top of the list have said, learn from my mistakes, do weight reduction. If you go out in this car and you're trying to race, you're gonna break stuff. So they strongly recommended removing weight. And people have also said, if you're gonna have a crack at going fast, just get all the good parts at once and don't actually slowly upgrade and modify and replace the exact same parts over and over again. And I 100% agree with that. So in my setup, the only thing that I've changed here is I went from some previous Bosch 1000cc injectors to FIC 1200s. Other than that, the fuel pump. So the fuel pump died on me. I then went to a double pumper setup and didn't like it. Then I went to a surge tank, and that sorted my launch issues. So this car runs E85. It's a dual map. It can run 98, but I've never run it. On this setup, I've got a Raceway surge tank that has a Bosch 350 inside of it. And then I've just got the stock Evo 10 lift pump inside the fuel canister. Here I've got a fuel pressure regulator, and as you can see, it's a very simple setup. I don't run a fuel filter in line from the engine, so Alan's confirmed it's unnecessary. Because I've got the surge tank, I've got the filter inside there, and that filters my E85. So I've got a brand new device from a company called Luffy. Now, people might be familiar with this, I guess more so if you're in Australia, but a brand new OBD2 reader called the Luffy X SST has just come out at the end of 2022. Now this has had a couple of iterations before, but the difference between this one and other ones is that this one actually has a ability to accept custom PIDs. Now, typically what I would normally do is use Talk Pro on my Android head unit, which is installed in the car. And through Talk Pro, I purchased a plugin called Advanced EX for Mitsubishi. Now that program interprets data that comes from the ECU and the TCU. And both of those devices are basically read via a few different means. Now I don't have the OBD2 connected for that because I've currently got it connected for the Luffy. But what it does is in the back of the head unit, I've got a USB cable that runs from there to my OBD2 port. And you can run it by Wi-Fi or by a Bluetooth connection as well. The problem with that is that you have to rely on, firstly, a third-party OBD2 connector to transmit that data to your head unit. And then after you do that, the app on the Android head unit has to be able to read and process that data. And you're relying on the processing speed of the Android head unit to do that. So whilst it's certainly not super laggy, as in like seconds laggy, it is laggy, and there is the ability for things to not be captured so quickly. So what I like about other units, if you basically have a aftermarket OBD2 reader like this one, then it has a plug, a OBD2 cable that comes straight out of the bottom of it and goes straight to the OBD2 port. Now, just quickly to show you this, the reason why I like this and I wanted it is because I wanted to have a audible and visible shift light. Now, in my last race, you would have seen that I've got the new Illumisthetic custom cluster in the stock cluster housing. So this looks a lot better than even the revision 2 color cluster. Because this is a 2009 model car, it actually had the red cluster from factory, which is old and ugly as. The good thing about this cluster is that it also means that I could color change the needle. Now I did that myself, that wasn't actually done by Illumisthetic. But if you have a look at my old videos, you'll see that as the needle goes through the red range, it changes from white to orange to red. You can make it any color you like, but that's the way I liked it because it gave me the opportunity to see when I really need to change. Now you can visibly look at that. In my setup, my RPM stock engine, I've got that set at 7,700. So it's just above what the factory cutout is. But I wanted to have an audible and a flashing setup. And at such a lightweight answer via this unit, I was quite happy with it. So it has these different displays, which you can have by default. And you can change all these variables to read out what is important to you. The good thing about this device is that it focuses on roll and pitch and those sorts of things, G-forces for the track. It actually does also read quarter mile times and 60 foots if you're wanting to do that. But in my case, as I said, I only like doing racing at the track. So with this one, when it reaches a preset position, of course you can make it flash on the screen and it makes a audible beep. But I just quickly wanted to show you what I'm currently looking at. So in this, I'll just bring this closer. In this screen here, you'll see the menu where it has user data setup. Now under here, it's got the ability to read 9 custom PIDs. So what I did was I went into the menu structure for Talk Pro on my phone, connected it to my phone, found the log file that Advanced EX uses for reading SST temperature. And when you have a look at the stats for it, it's actually surprisingly easy. So all it does is that it reads a temperature from the box, and then it's got an equation to simply minus 40 degrees, and then that's your SST temp. So basically, that's how this program interprets the data. So say, for example, ideal operating temperature is around about 70 degrees Celsius. So it actually reads a value of 110, and then in that text file, it shows that it minuses 40. So what I've done is I've pulled parameters from that ini file, and then on here, I've gone and added some parameters, but I still can't quite get it to work. So I'm just trying to see if there's anyone out there that has got experience with loading an ini file on a third-party platform, or just has an understanding which I'm not quite getting. So basically on here, I've got request function on, I've got it named, you can name, that's just a similar equivalent of just naming SST temp, you can name it whatever you want. You can set the values, so you've got unit type and alarm value. As you can see here, it's got 105, so that's what the advanced DX log file uses. So I've tried signing and unsigning that one, but it didn't seem to work. And it does have a scale factor of 1 in TalkPro. So here in TalkPro, the equation is data A minus 40. Now in this setup, when you want to do a subtraction data, it says that you've got to put it in data C. So data C, I've made it as 40, and so that means the value equals data minus C. So if the data is 110 and you minus 40, then it will read somewhere around 70 degrees. That's as simple as how Advanced DX works in TalkPro. But for whatever reason, whenever I go to the display screen, and I'll just show you here. So TCM timeout, that's the actual readout that I'm getting. So I was just trying to see if there's anyone out there that has some know-how with this, and if I can't seem to get a response, then I might try going to the manufacturer. So yeah, so basically under that user data setup, you'll see here that at the bottom of the list, data C, it then comes back to the top. I have got, I didn't edit this file in the ini file in Windows. I've actually just inputted this data from this screen. So this will probably take me a little bit of time to get working, but I know that because it can read custom PIDs, I just need to give it the right values to get it to work. Another thing I wanted to show you is that you can have all these different setouts. So I'll just show you as an example what some of those are. So if you go to display setup, then you'll see here that you can press this button and you can go through all these slots. Now if I just press down, so it can go through all of these readings. So they're the custom PIDs. That's my custom PID one where I'm trying to read the SST temp. So I've got some coarse stuff for tracks, rolls, pitch. And then it starts reading things which you would normally typically see via OBD2. You can do speed by OBD2 or by GPS. So ignition timing, air fuel, you can actually vary the way that revs are read. So if a speedo doesn't seem to be right, or the revs or the boost, you can change all of that manually. So it does have gear selection as well, so you can go do gear by speed like TalkPro does, and apparently there is a way via a custom PID to make it read gear as well. I have seen some posts in some YouTube videos, so I'm going to reach out to a few people to try and get that to work. So there's just so many options there. And there you go. So that's all the options, so I'll just pop out of that screen. And so yeah. I'll just show you what that looks like. So I'll turn the car on now. So can you see there you've got those readouts. So pretty cool. I've just shut the car off. So now we're going to look at what I think I can try and do to make this car go quicker this year. So basically, obviously, I intend to run more boost. So if the turbo is happy, accepting anywhere upwards of 30 pound, then we'll go with that. The next thing I'm looking at is wheels, tires, and brake setup. So I changed to DBA two-piece rotors, and the weight of these rotors is actually the standard weight of the OEM two-piece. It's not actually lighter, but it is significantly lighter than the old DBA 4000s. So I've got DBA 5000 two-piece rotors on the front. Then on the rear, I've got the old DBA, I think they're the 4000s on the rear, if I can remember. And then I've just got, the stock calipers. So yeah, lots of people online, I can see when you look up brake kits, they're starting to move to drag brakes kits. So basically, you can still use them on the street, but not when you use something like an STM-tuned scalloped rotor with a Willwood brake setup. So we are looking to change that to something a little bit smaller, but still will have effective braking ability on the street. I did consider getting the STM-tuned setup. However, the issue is that if you go a scalloped setup and you are running in the water, then the issue is that you're going to warp those very thin rotors pretty easily. And given that I don't use this car as a daily, in fact, the only time I will be driving it or have driven it is when I'm going to work on a rainy day, because I don't wish to ride and get myself or the bike all wet in rainy weather. So that means then that I still need to have an effective brake setup for the street. So we've got a few ideas for that, and I've been researching wheel tire brake combos for this year. Now that's going to significantly bring the rotating weight and mass weight of the car down. And so basically that combined with the surge tank at lower liters of tank in the car is going to bring the times down for sure. So more boost, less rotating assembly. Other things I've looked at, which I'm not quite sure if I'll go that route, but they are an option to me, which I don't have, which other people do, is in Australia, we call the center shaft a tail shaft. And that tail shaft, you can get a carbon version from the drive shaft shop. But then again, you can also change the rear diff to a 3000 GT or GTO, depending on where you are in the world. And then you can get custom rear drive shafts, and you can change the gearing of the car. So I'm not quite sure if I'll go that route unless I actually break the rear diff. But from my looks of research online, it looks like the transfer case should be okay for what I intend to do with the car. Now, when I do change the wheel and tire setup and the brakes, it will mean that I'll need to play around with the suspension, because the amount of weight that I have in the car propelling myself forward, particularly off the line, is going to be vastly different. What I'm looking to do is to basically reduce grip and reduce tire width so that I can get that mass going. And I found that if I can get some wheel spin off on my launch, rather than gripping on these 265 3518 Salem R01 semi-slicks, then it's going to assist me to get my 60 foot times down. And of course, every 10th you make in the 60 foot typically results in 2/10 at the other end of the track. So basically that's where I'm at right now in January of 2023. So for all those guys that have been hanging out for an Evo 10 video on this channel, that's where I'm at right now. Thanks for your support as always. I'll see you in the next time when I make a video about my next upload for the car, or perhaps when a new part arrives. But for now, since May of last year, it's just the OBD2 reader, which I've just picked up a few weeks ago. Just a little Christmas present for myself. In fact, I purchased that OBD2 sensor for my bike, and the bike, it didn't actually work out, but nonetheless, I am able to use it in my car. If you've got any questions about this video, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.